Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here. And this is part 2 of my coffee dyeing fiasco. And I will show you all the finished product. You saw in part 1 the different things that I went through and that I did. And so now I get to show you the finished results. So I did manage to do a few little pieces of lace and trim. They were actually in that white basket, and so I just threw them into the coffee and did them. And they're fun little bits and pieces that I can use for clusters and stuff. And then I'm going to put this aside for a second. And then there was the fabrics that I did, and this turned out just gorgeous. I can't wait to use this. This is going in my, if you can remember, I was working on a tapestry journal, so a needlepoint journal. So part of this is going in that journal. And then the rest I will use for collage and snippets and things like that. But the color turned out so beautiful. I'm really happy with it. It's not that stark white anymore. And some of this did rest on that black metal grid, so I did get the pattern in there, and I'm happy about that too. So there was that one, and then this was just the plain cotton, and so now this will get torn up into shabby strips, and all kinds of things can be done with this. I'm going to probably wrap some on cards to sell in my shop, because I think I'm getting pretty low on that. And some of it will be reserved for doing snippets and clusters and things like that. And, I don't know that I would use this for journal covers, only because I purposely dyed it just for making strips. So that's what that's going for. And then another piece of that linen. Oh, this is inside out. Yeah, just another piece of that same embroidered linen, but it just turned out so beautiful. I'm excited to get using this on some projects. And I know, I'm sure a few of you gasped when you saw me take this beautiful white needlepoint, but I was never going to use it in white. And now this will get added into my journal that I'm working on. I may even use this on the little nesting booklet that sits on top of the journal. I'll have to see, but that's one of the projects I want to work on sometime soon coming up. So hopefully you'll get to see all of that soon. And then that's where this will go. And then the dress. Okay, do you say yes to the dress or yuck to the dress? Well, it's very modeled. It will definitely be used for a gypsy boho style of journal. The colors, it turned a little bit mucky in here, and because I was using the ends of the liquid in the bottles, there was a lot of green, like granules of powder on here. So I thought, oh, I ruined it completely. But I just took a soft toothbrush and just brushed it out, and most of the granules are gone. It is an unusual color, but yeah, I think I could use this for snippets. And then the appliques and stuff will definitely get used, no problem. They're mostly brown and, a little bit of mucky colors, but they're still beautiful to use in a distressed journal. And so I will probably cut this up into, like, I'll cut that off as one piece, and then same with this as another piece. And then this will just go into my cluster stuff. And then same with the bottom. I will work with this in pieces. Something I did notice was I started to attempt to take this trim off. I thought, well, I'll just take it off in one strip, but the beads are sewn in with the sewing of the strip onto the dress. So in doing that, I would lose all of the beadwork and sequins. So I think what I'll do is I will cut it along the edge here and fray it. And then same with on this side where it's hemmed, I will cut it along the edge and fray it so that it looks like I planned it that way. Of course I will, right? And I'll bring you along for that ride when I do it. And then, when I was doing the dress, I had it on the glass tabletop, and I lifted it to move it, and there was quite a bit of color underneath the, like there was quite a bit of paint and dye that had seeped through. And I don't know if you noticed it, but it really did not dye much on the back side here. So you got to wonder what kind of material this is that it wouldn't even absorb into the fabric. For a wedding dress, I don't know that I'd want to wear this all day long, because I'm sure that means that your body heat doesn't get out of here either. Might be a very uncomfortable dress to wear. Not that wedding dresses are ever comfortable, right? But anyway, because there was so much liquid, I took those 2 pieces of cotton that I had, and I used them. I put them underneath that dress piece and let the fabric soak up what was on the table, as well as take on any of the dyes that seeped through. And so it turned out really nice, because I had originally coffee stained these, and then I really like the colors. So this might be used with that to make a nice fun snippet roll. So again, I will take you with me on that journey when I work on it. And now it's the paper. So I did do a bunch of steno paper. And for the most part, I just coffee dyed it. Most of it, the lines have disappeared. They don't use a very strong ink anymore, so those lines fade away. You can still sort of see the blue line down the center. I think you can see it from there. And it's very faded, the lines, but it doesn't matter. I will use this for making notebooks and scrappy bits and all kinds of stuff anyway. So it really didn't matter if I lost the lines. And I can always redraw them. I only did a few sheets of ledger paper, only because I just ran out of steam to do it. It was very, very hot. And just to give you an idea of how hot it was, I was wearing a long sleeve shirt, but obviously I just kept putting my sleeve up. This has gone down in color quite a bit, but it was very, very red, like tomato red for a day. So I couldn't do it all, and so I just did a handful of sheets. Only one has the doily pattern in it. The rest are just coffee stained for me to use, again, in bits and pieces on my journals and stuff. Now, wouldn't this be nice if I could say I did this, but I didn't. These are all the sheets that, if you watch my haul video, these were all sheets of different kinds of paper that I got in one of my hauls of scrapbooking papers, and they were so stark white on the other side that I decided I was going to dye them all, and they turned out really nice. I love the paisley. This one has a little bit of white in here, but I'll be able to cover that up. So now these will just get folded and put into my signature pile so that I can use them for signatures. And I just coffee dyed them. A couple of them were on the screen, so that black screen, so they have the screen pattern in it. But for the most part, they're just coffee dyed. But yeah, they turned out pretty nice. No, I can't do that pattern in coffee. And then these are kind of my regular coffee dyed, nothing fancy. I just did some plain because that's what I wanted. And then these are what I call them. Yeah, they're okay, but they're not my favorites. But they will just get put in the junk journal pile, probably folded up for signature pages, and then I will, dress them up as I go along. And if you can recall, at the end of the video, the last video, I said that I was actually laying 6 sheets on top of each other. I would put 2 down, then I would put the doily on top, then another 2, another doily, another 2, and then the top doily. And all I did was I inked or distressed the top set, knowing that the other ones would stay brown. But what I hadn't planned on is, because of the heat and because the doilies are plastic, the moisture stayed in between the lower sets, so the doilies never impressed onto the papers, at least not much, maybe a little bit here and there, but nothing solid. And then the very top 2 took the color, and I'll show you what I mean by that. The first one, of course, took the color, and then the second one at least took the vinyl pattern and a little bit of the color if it soaked right through. So I ended up with papers that are, they have a little bit of color as we go along. I'll just find one. See, now this one was the second page. That was the first page. So those ones have a little bit of pattern on them, whereas this has the main pattern. This one I don't think I colored. And then, so this was just just plain. It didn't get anything. It picked up color on the edges because when I put the dye on at on the top layer, some of it seeped over the edges between the 6 layers of paper. You know, there was a lot of water that was flowing out of it around the edges. You know, gravity, and so it picked up some of the color. And like these two barely picked up that doily. Like there's the other side of it, so it barely picked it up, but a little bit. And they're just fun too. There's nothing wrong with these pages. I will enjoy working with them. So just to give you, I think I put this in the right place. Yeah, so there's this one turned out not bad, and this was a second layer, like a second set, and then the second one of the second set faded, and then the last two didn't get much at all. And the only reason that I think this one turned out was because I did take the top 2 layers off because they were almost dry, and then I just put it right back down and hoped that it would pick up something, and it did, but not for every one. Tore one page, too bad. I love this doily. This one is, I think, my favorite doily to use. And so I just left it there. This would have been the second page of it. So that just shows you what I mean, where this is the original, but because this was right underneath it, it picked up the images of the second one, on the second one. And so that's all this was just, you know, misprints or not my most perfect prints that I had come through. Like this one, there's a little bit of smudging in there. Not my favorite color. It was too yellow against the brown, which is too bad. I should have put a little bit of orange in there. And just different ones. But then there's the Primo papers, and I'll get to those in a second. Coffee dyed strips, because I always keep the offcuts when I do a digital collage sheet. I always print them and I cut off the strips and I keep them, because these coffee dyed ones now, they're not perfect. They're just, you know, kind of stained, and some have some impressions in them, but not much. And these are great to ink stamp and to use to make ruffles, to fold up. So I will use these up. I love these things, so they'll get used up very quickly. Sometimes I will sit down at the sewing machine and just whip all of these through the machine one after another, and then they're done, and then I can use them on pages or on, you know, elements and stuff. So those were these are the plain ones. And then I had plain papers as well. You know, these are all offcut papers from different things. It all goes into that white basket. And when the white basket is full, the next time I coffee dye, I take all that and do it all at once. And I do coffee dye throughout the year and in the house. I find that much easier to do because I do it in the oven and I've just got a little system going. And these papers here, I just roll them all up and throw them in a jar and make a cup of coffee right into the cup. And then I just leave them sitting there, and then I take them all out and let them air dry. But yeah, this kind of stuff I normally do just in the oven at home in the house. But because I was outside doing this stuff anyway, I did it. I just found it a little bit more manual labor than the way I do it in the oven. And so then these were the strips that I... sorry, I'm moving this over here. These were the strips that I purposely laid doilies on top of, and I love how they turned out. I will definitely use these. I hope you can see the different patterns in here. I will use this like a washi tape for sure. Maybe do some stitching with them, but I love the patterns and the modeled look with the coffee. So I will definitely use these as part of my elements and art. And same with some of these larger strips. It was the same thing. I just did the doilies over top. Exactly the same as the paper. It is tedious to do because you got to dip each piece and then lay it out flat. But the results are certainly worth it. A little bit of ink stamping, and these are going to just be so gorgeous to work with. Had some odds and ends of little bits, and I think this was photo paper. And I just threw it in to see how it would turn out. So I'm happy with that. It's not bad. I could, again, ink stamp on there. This was a price ticket, and I just did the other side to see. This was a thing that all this ribbon came on. And it's cardboard, so I figured, I'll give it a try. I don't know if I'll keep these little nubs on the end here. I'll probably cut those off, but it certainly is a nice journal type card that I can use in my journals. And just a couple of bigger pieces. I did most of them just coffee stained, just plain, because I knew I was making the big papers anyway, so I didn't really want to waste my time doing all of that stuff. And then there was the dryer sheets. I don't know if you remember, I had a handful. I didn't do too many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Usually in my laundry room, I have a basket there that there's always at least 4 or 5 in the waste basket. So, when I really want them for something, then I will go and fish them out. I don't save them because, you end up with too much stuff. But yeah, these, I just did 5 of them. These tear really nice. I just tore one to show you. And, I would use this in bits and pieces and clusters and, behind maybe a label or some other type of element just to give it a little bit more dimension. So they're fun to use and glue very easily, and just they're kind of cool to recycle and use these. But I won't do 100. I'll do them when I'm doing this and just pull 5 out of the trash before I start. And then I had one lonely envelope. I don't know how it got in the basket, but it was in there, and so I just did it, and how it came out is how it came out. So that was, for the most part, the ones that, just everyday staining. And then this is the pile that I'm calling the primos, and they turned out really nice. I love this doily, so I will use this one and do this doily many, many times. It's very Mandela looking, and it just says Gypsy Boho to me. So I did it. This was done with the teal dye and the teal paint that I had mixed up with water. And what I found, and it's not probably as apparent on here, is where the paint went through the little holes in the doily, it gave it a little bit of an embossed look, because it left a little sort of like a mucus line. I don't know how else to explain it, but just a little bit of an edge on the doily. So there is a few little raised elements, but you'll see it a little bit more in one of the next ones. So it turned out really cute. And this was the ones I did earlier in the day, but like I said, the heat was unbelievable. So this was the second layer of the same one. So these are ones that turned out really well. As you can see, it is my favorite. So here's this one, and that was the second layer. Okay, so this was the second batch that I did. Yeah, and so that was the second layer. This one is the one that is definitely raised. And this, you can actually, I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, but there are raised bits of paint. This was the red paint, and I used it with the red dye. Love how that came through. So that's just by taking about 5 drops of acrylic paint and mixing it into a little container of water, and you can adjust it as you go along, and just make sure you shake it up really well so it gets stirred. And so when you leave the doily on top, this kind of sits and gathers around the edges of the plastic, and then it comes off the plastic, so it doesn't stay on there. Most of my doilies just have a little bit of residue of coffee or dye, but nothing major. There wasn't any transfer from one batch to the next as far as color. And they would just rinse off in some soapy water in the sink. But I didn't bother, because, it doesn't bother me if there's other stains on it when I go to do the next batch. This was that Valentine heart doily. It was very... I had to really be careful to place it, but I managed to go right to the edge of the paper, so I'm really pleased with this one. And then this is the second level of the same doily. This one would have been nice, except it was not straight, but I will use it. So it's not perfect. I think if I use it this way, you won't notice so much that it isn't straight. And maybe I can put a border of ribbon on here so it's less apparent. Something that would take away from that being, on an angle. But I love the colors. It almost with the, you may not be able to see this in the picture, but with it resting on the grid, it almost gives you this snakeskin kind of look to it. It's hard to explain, but maybe you can see it all. I'm just going to show you a little bit here. Another favorite one, except this doily wasn't all the way to the end of the page, but still caused a really nice effect. And this again has the paint in it, so you can feel like a little bit of a raised effect on it. Love how this turned out. Love the color. There it is, the second level. So you can easily put two doilies, one on top of each other, knowing that this one is going to get the color if you're using color, and this one's just going to get the pattern. But they equally look nice. This was the second layer of one of them. I don't know where the first layer went. This one, not my greatest design, because I put the doily the wrong way. It should have gone this way. Wasn't thinking on that one. And, you know, I was just filling the space just to see how it looked. And then there is the second level of that one. So, oh, here I had done it like this. I had them layered one off center from each other, not directly on top. This might be that other, no, I don't think it's that other pink one. Oh, there it is. This must be it. This one turned out nice. I love the color on this one. Definitely will use this. There's that little doily. Turned out really good. This is the heart again. I just laid it on top of two different sheets so that you get a little, I got a little bit of design on each one. This one turned out nice. A little bit of smudging because I didn't wait. You're supposed to wait, right? You're supposed to wait till it's dry. I didn't quite wait. This was the very, very first one that I did, and I think I love this one the most, even though it doesn't have that raised look. It's very bohemian, medallion looking. I love it. And this one is another, I'm not sure if it's just one single or if it was the second layer. I can't remember. I think this was the second layer of that yellow. This one is a little bit of green. Another one that turned out, oh, there, that's where it is. It's one of those down there. Turned out really nice. Love the colors of this one. Love the pattern and the sheen. The red paint also had a little bit of pearl glitter in it. So some of these picked up that pearl glitter. Another favorite, love the colors on this, love the whole thing. And again, this is my favorite doily, so it made it easy. Love the green and the pink. I was pouring the dye to get the leaves to be green for the most part, and then the flowers to be red, excuse me. There was a little bit of seepage where the red went on to the green leaves, but I think I did not too bad with that, just giving it a try for the first time, so I might play around with that again. This one I like. Love the colors. The purple and green turned out really sharp. And one more favorite. This is again done with the heart-shaped doily, covering the whole piece. It just made it. Like I had to kind of maneuver it a few times before I got it to sit there nicely. And then I just did the red paints and dyes, and I love the result of this. So that's my whole haul of what I did and how it turned out. What did I learn from it this time? I don't like the heat. And no matter how calm the day it is, it's always going to have a little bit of wind, because I was chasing paper by early afternoon. I was chasing paper. I did about 200 sheets of paper in total. And that took me all day long, pretty much. Half of it was done in the house because of the heat. I can do probably about 400 sheets in the oven on a good day in the house. So it all comes down to, do I want the doily patterns? Because the doilies, I don't think I could put them in the oven. Maybe the heavier ones, but I really don't think so. And I don't want to try, and I don't want to, breathe in the fumes of melting plastic. So it all boils down to, if I want this type of paper, then yes, I have to do it outside. And the results are nice. You get a lot of odds and ends, but now I know you can only do 2 sheets, one on top of each other, but that's good to know either way. I do recommend having a set of screens that you can put on top. It's not like you can put a rock on top, because if you put a rock on top, you're going to have the pattern of the rock showing through. So you need a screen like those black grids that I had, where it's just raised just a little bit on the one side, so that it's not touching your paper or the doily. So I would probably invest in a few more of those. So I'll be looking for those in my next thrifting hauls. So yeah, if I want the pattern papers, then yeah, I have to do it outside, and I have to be prepared that they're going to blow away, or else use the weights. So I have 13 screens, which means I could do 2 up, 26 at a time. But then it takes twice as long, actually more like 3 times as long to dry, because you've got the doily on top, and then you've got the 2 layers of paper, and then it's touching a plastic table. So it doesn't dry quickly. So it's not like I can do 26 and then do 26 by the time I get the first 26 done and start doing the next batch. Whereas in the oven, it's like constant all day, where I'm taking, 6 sheets out and putting 6 sheets in constantly. So the process is less. So if I was going to do this outside, I would be prepared to only do the doilies, and that it would be smaller batches unless I get more screens. The other thing I learned is, don't have 25 colors. Have 2 colors or 4 colors at the most. Like maybe do a whole batch in 1 color, or 1 or 2 colors if you're using 2 colors, and then do another batch in completely different colors. I learned that. Yeah, because you can't decide, and that takes time, and you're mixing colors and throwing all kinds of things together. And I really know which colors I like, so I think I would stick to that. But I really wanted to use up all of that dye, and I did. I have a little bit of red left in one of the containers, but other than that, I used it all, washed up those containers. It is a good investment for that $4 package of tie-dye, kids tie-dye kit that you can get at Dollarama. Very good investment. And then you get the little bottles at the end too. So we did 2 batches of using color when I did a batch with Thelma, and then I did this batch. And the only thing I added was those few bottles of paint that you saw. In the paints, I think I would use darker, more intense colors. And then there's the fact that, how much doily covered paper do I want? Don't get me wrong, I will do batches because, that's what we do, right? But I also realize that you can you can purchase digital kits from Caroline at Caroline's Craft Tree. She has a digital kit that you just print out your doily, coffee stained doilies onto paper, and they're beautiful. And she's done all the scanning and the work for you. So you can print them out, and you're good to go. And she's got a beautiful collection of designs and colors and plain coffee and stuff. So for a handful of dollars, I can't remember how much the kit is, but it's very inexpensive. You can visit Caroline at her coffee site and download the digital to do these yourself. If you really want the smell of coffee, you can also take her digitals, turn them over, spray them with a little bit of coffee on the back side of it, and then it smells like coffee. Wrinkle it up a little bit. It'll have the look of the coffee stain, but you'll save yourself a lot of time and money. And you could probably, once they're printed on and you coffee stain the back, you can probably heat dry them very quickly too. If you really, really have to have that touchy-feely coffee-stained doily papers, there's one more alternative, and that's to contact Mimi at Mimi's Keepsakes at her Etsy shop. She has beautiful papers, and she sells them in small batches, and not a huge price, well worth the price. In fact, I will be buying a few from Mimi myself. So just to let you know that there are other options to doing them. It's not that I won't do these again. It's just that, as you go along, you learn different lessons, and there are some things that I must weigh. If I'm going to do 50 papers and it's going to take me all day, you know, and then I have to babysit them, and I have to watch out for wind, and some of them aren't going to turn out. Or do I go downstairs, work in the basement, make stuff that I can sell, and then go and buy Mimi's papers from, or Marnell's papers from Mimi's keepsakes? That makes more sense to me. So those are your options. And for those other Etsy sellers that sell the already made papers, kudos to you. And if you would like to let me know that you have those papers, you know, you could send me 5 sheets and I'll be more than happy to advertise till the day is done, for your shop. So yeah, you just get in touch with me and let me know, and same with others of you that have digital kits. I will make some digitals. I will scan these, and they will go in my coffee member site. So it won't be for free, because this is a lot of work, and the scanning is also a lot of work to do all this. So that's one of the benefits of being a member, is eventually you'll be able to download my digitals and print them yourself as well. So that's it for my video for today. I hope you got something out of this and learned a few tricks and things. And again, it's all a creative process, and it's creative fun. So I wish you all a fun day and creative time. And I look forward to seeing all of you soon. Bye for now.